That Renfield movie wasn't so bad. I think movie theaters just aren't the place for feature-length comedies anymore. Overall, this is a 3 out of 5 star movie, but with a 5-star performance from Nicolas Cage, who I think turned in an iconic take on the character. For decades now, Dracula has been regarded as more of a tragic anti-hero than a monster, and Nick Cage depicts the Lord of Darkness as a petty, vindictive, gaslighting abuser. It's probably the nastiest take I've seen on the character, and it's specifically because of his human features. You'll see in Cage an echo of abusive bosses, exes, friends, family, maybe some of your own worst characteristics.
You're the one who used me! You used my power because you're a husk! However, I'm the real victim here!
So Dracula is less of a blood-hungry animal here than he is a bully, fully aware of the harm he's causing and reveling in it. Nicholas Hoult does a solid job as Renfield too, a role he'll essentially be returning to in Robert Eggers' upcoming Nosferatu, where he plays Thomas Hutter. See, Holt's Renfield is based on the one from Bela Lugosi, which combined elements of Renfield with Thomas Harker into a single character. So this is kind of a recurring role for him, and as far as I know, the third time he's playing a pale-faced simp to a cruel, pussy-hogging overlord. Last Voyage of the Demeter has a pretty evil Dracula too, again because of his human features. He spends the whole movie in bat mode, but you see him give an evil grin now and then, betraying a human intelligence, and it's so much creepier than him being a mindless killing machine. He reminds me of a Junji Ito villain.
Get back here! Finally, you and I are alone together.
That one was also a flop. I think the era of theatrical film is just kind of over. Yeah, you got Oppenheimer and Barbie, but when the only movies making a profit are era-defining masterpieces and major cultural events, well, that's not really a thriving industry, is it? Lately, it seems like it's not enough for something to be pretty good. Mid has become a bad word when a C-plus game like Saints Row is a studio-ruining disaster, and a 3-star film might end a director's career. It's a shame because some of my favorite stuff is just okay, like the first Shazam movie. But nothing is allowed to be lightweight and disposable anymore. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Renfield because it felt oddly familiar to me in the opening moments. Something about the tone of the humor.
Who do you think I am? A hitman sent to kill us.
And then I see a name I know in the credits, Ryan Ridley. You might know him for his work on Rick and Morty and Community. I know him for his work on Phone Sexers on Channel 101.
What do we have here? Another soul for me to play. What the?
If you don't know what Channel 101 is, it was a monthly film festival started by Dan Harmon and Rob Schraub after their pilot, Heat Vision and Jack, failed to go to series.
Sunlight makes him the world's smartest man.
I know everything!
It was modeled after network television, with shorts being shown as pilots and the most popular ones being voted back for another episode. Even if you didn't watch Channel 101, you might recognize a handful of internet memes that got their start there, like Shitbusters and Kicked in the Nuts, starring a young Cleveland Brown.
Hey, my friend, you've been kicked in the nuts.
Or hell, Rick and Morty.
Marty, drop whatever you're doing. I gotta tell you about a comic book called Scud the Disposable Assassin.
But Doc, I'm right in the middle of standing all alone by myself in this darkened room.
Channel 101 was never really intended to be an internet thing. It was open mic night for a group of struggling Los Angeles writers, and any internet fame that came with it was just a happy accident. But they did have a loyal online fan base, myself included. The absolute best thing they ever produced, if you ask me, was Yacht Rock. My favorite episode being I Keep Forgetting, where Michael McDonald winds up in Dr. Dre's house with a case of amnesia, leading to the creation of the G-Funk sound.
You need a smooth groove? Sample this.
Channel 101 was sort of like Adult Swim or the Groundlings or something, a kind of incubator for what would become the default comedic voice of a generation. Before you had hackneyed bullshit like Monkey Baby Puppy, you had Tim and Eric making orientation videos for Channel 101. I'm talking about Channel 101 in past tense. They're still around 20 years later, but they get a fraction of the views they used to, and I don't want to be a dick or nothing, but I don't think the current stuff is anywhere near as bold or as original as what they were running in the 2000s. Ironically, a lot of it feels like a pale imitation of shows with roots in Channel 101. I'm at the early end of middle age now, so I've been around long enough to see the full arc where a certain style of humor goes from being fresh and daring to normalized to played out. It seems to me that it takes about a decade, roughly the stretch of time between the debut of Awesome Show and the first airing of that Super Bowl commercial, or the amount of time that The Simpsons was good. You know, I submitted a pilot to Channel 101 a few years back. That was part of their thing, was it's a total open-door, democratized system where everyone has a fair shot. But I looked at the analytics of the video after they turned me down, and they never even watched it. Reminds me of that story of an employer splitting a stack of applications in two and throwing half of them away because they didn't want to work with unlucky people. While I'm on the subject of Cleveland Brown, how much do you think his new voice actor is getting paid? Probably less than 10% of Mike Henry's recording fee, right? And you think the reason they recast him is because they're going full woke? Fox have been trying to scare the cast of The Simpsons into taking pay cuts for decades. If you're watching these strikes, if you're watching Disney replace James Earl Jones with a free text-to-speech iPhone app, and you still think these recasts are being done for reasons having anything to do with progressivism and social conscience, buddy, you're dumber than you look. And that's pretty damn dumb. If you liked the video, please subscribe. And if you really liked the video, we're crowdfunding an animated western over on Seed and Spark. Click the link in the description if you want to get your name in the credits.